Okay, so tell me about this picture.
This is a picture of the Central Hotel in Hyco, Texas. Uh, After my granddaddy and grandmother sold their farm, half to one son and half to another who had adjacent farms, because he was unable to physically work anymore. He had that Yankee bullet ball in his hip from the Civil War. They sold the farm and moved to Hyco from Blum. They lived on the outskirts of Blum, which is where my mother was born.
Mm-hmm.
And they bought the Central Hotel. It was across the street, a little more than across the street. There's a little bit of property in there from the railroad station. And the people, mostly drummers, would get off the train at night. And Mom said it was late, but I don't remember if she said like 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock or what. But it was her job as a little bitty girl, 8, 10 years old, something like that, and one employee of the hotel to go over to the train station and get the drummers and their luggage. And they took a
That's her at 8, 10 years old, right there.
who's that?
Granny.
Oh yeah. Oh, she's not 18. She's more like
No, 8 to 10 or something
8
like
to
that.
10. Anyway, they'd take a buggy and a horse over there so they could carry the luggage for the drummers. And,
Okay, what does drummer mean?
Oh, traveling salesman.
Okay.
Sorry about that. And they would come to town, probably spend a couple of days there trying to sell things to the stores, the businesses around town, then get on a train and move to another town.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my grandparents operated the hotel for a while, and my mother told me those stories about picking up the drummers and their luggage at night. But then sometime or another, they got together with a lady, who I can't think of her name right now, who had bought a new building that had originally been built by the railroad company to be a hospital. And it was up on the hill outside of, over the park in Walnut Springs. Did I say Hyco? This is Walnut Springs.
I don't remember what you said.
I don't remember what I said either, but this hotel's in Walnut Springs, Texas.
Yeah.
And this lady had bought a brand new building which had never been used as a hospital because the railroad sold out to a company that already had a bigger hospital. So she operated it as a boarding house, mostly for railroad employees, but anybody that wanted to could rent apartments there and live there. It had about 22 apartments in it, something like that. And my grandparents traded their hotel for the boarding house. I don't know anything about exchange of money. All I heard was that they traded.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at them, they looked, I don't know, they might have been close to the same value, but who knows. But the lady running the boarding house didn't like these long-term boarders.
Mm.
And my grandparents decided they'd rather have long-term boarders than overnight drummers,
Mm-hmm.
mostly, and a few other people. So they traded properties. So my mother then moved with her parents into the boarding house, and they rented as a boarding house, and mother lived there till she got married. So that means she must have lived there about 10 or 12 years. And she'd already lived 2 or 3 in the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, they'd lived down around Blum, Texas, which she was born in Blum, Texas. Now, Granddad was quite older than grandmother. He had had a previous wife who had died. And then he married my grandmother and had 5 more kids, all girls.
Yeah, how many did he have from the first wife? Do you remember?
6.
6, and then 5, and they were all girls from
Yeah.
both marriages.
No. There was 3 boys in that first marriage.
Oh, okay.
And there's some interesting stories about some of them too. To tell you a quickie about it, one of them owned a mine. I think it was a lead mine in Nevada, and it really got hot during the Civil War, and then cooled off after the war was over. And then later on, got hot again when the Mexican War came up. But in the meantime, somebody wanted his mine. They thought it could connect to a gold mine. And he married a woman who later turned out to be a Mormon who already had a husband. And she married him in order to get the inside information on the mine, and they were going to steal it from him. Well, he was in Nevada, and he brought his twin sister. These are stepchildren of my grandmother, real children of my grandfather. He brought his stepsister back to my grandmother's house on the hill, the boarding house, and left her there for safety. He changed his name, said the governor gave him a new name, but he went back to Nevada and was never heard from again. Nobody knows what happened to him. Been a complete mystery. And his twin sister lived in my grandparents' house, her daddy and stepmother. And the only thing Mother would say about her was that she didn't like kids dancing and singing and piano playing. She and all her sisters danced and sang and played the piano. Holy mackerel. I bet that was a riot.
Yeah, I bet it was.